Alex is someone I've always looked up to. She's an absolute inspiration to all of us, and I couldn't imagine any better person to be my captain.
You always know she's going to give 100% every game. In training, you never want to mark her, because you always know you're going to get pushed and shoved, and she's going to be there, and she's going to swing, and she's going to hit the ball as hard as she can.
Rio, without question, was one of the most memorable parts of my life, certainly my playing career. You hear the Tannoy, Great Britain, Olympic champions, and again, it's almost disbelief. It's a moment that you'll cherish for the rest of your life. The toughest thing about any head injury is there is no timeline, it's guidelines only.
Alex Danson is one of the most decorated hockey players in the world. But in 2018, her life took an unexpected twist after a freak accident which left her with a debilitating injury. I've come to meet Alex to hear her story. After the World Cup, everyone gets a break. What happened? Where did you go and what were you there to do?
My boyfriend and I had booked a holiday to Kenya. One evening, we went to a different restaurant for dinner and we were sat on some low seats. Alex was chatting away and he said something very funny. I flung myself forward, I was laughing and I flung my head back. And I cracked the back of my head flush on the concrete wall. And if I'm honest, I knew something wasn't right. And that night I woke up every hour. It's actually the fourth head injury I've had. And I knew that was something I'd experienced before and my kind of heart sank. I was like, no, please, not again. We just didn't know, what was going to happen in the next few weeks.
And what did happen?
So I came home and I have to say the flight from Kenya was horrendous.
The flight attendant saw what was going on and came over to check she was okay, and we sort of just palmed it off in a migraine to make sure we could sort of get on the plane and get home, really.
I remember being at the airport, I had my head in my hands, tears were rolling down my cheeks. I was white as a sheet and I just couldn't imagine getting on the plane.
It was very much get home and try and get recovered for her to go back into Bisham the following Monday.
I went to Bisham where we trained. Atypical of an athlete, I underreported how bad I was feeling and I managed to go to the team away day. And all I can really remember from here is I went in and I hadn't seen the girls for weeks and I turned to talk to one of my teammates and I lost the ability, I couldn't speak and it terrified me. And all I remember thinking was, don't make a fuss, you'll be fine. And then a few minutes later the session was over and I got outside as quick as I could and I remember being a bit teary but trying not to show anyone, and suddenly, I can just only explain, I felt horrendous. I thought somebody had just hit a nail into my head and my headache was excruciating and I felt incredibly sick. I texted our doctor and I said, I've just been sick, should I take a paracetamol and go to bed? And she called straight away and was like, you need to get in now.
And the next thing I know, I'm getting a call from Kate, the doctor, and from her best mate Al, saying we're rushing to hospital now. So it was pretty poorly when she got there, so she went sort of straight through.
I had every scan under the sun. There was no bleed detected, but I was not well enough, obviously, to leave, so I was in hospital there for a week.
It was one of those things where initially it just slowly got worse. It wasn't like, bang, she's hit her head, she's in hospital. It was, bang, I don't feel that great. I feel really sick. I'm going to the doctors. I've been admitted to hospital. And it's not until that point where you start thinking, all right, this is actually quite serious now.
They said it was a mild traumatic brain injury and it could take you several months to recover. I remember looking at the doctor and it was like she had 4 heads. I was like, whatever, you don't know me, I'll be better in 2 weeks. And one thing I probably will never forget is when we left the hospital, my other half, Alex, came, he picked me up, and I remember walking into the corridor. I've never felt so unwell in my life. I felt like I just wanted to get into a ball and everything to disappear. I felt so unwell. It got really bad before I got anywhere near to being able to have a day that resembled any sort of normal life.
With Alex's health and playing career thrown into turmoil, she turned to specialist help to begin her rehabilitation.
The hardest part of this was you don't know when you're going to get better. At the start we were told, yeah, 2 months you'll be better, 3 months you'll be better, but the reality was very different. When she came out of hospital we all thought, right, she'll be back on her feet within sort of a few days.
She was trying everything. Anything that would help her to improve. And she found a lot of dead ends, to be honest.
I was fearful that I'd never get better, and I just prayed that please let me be able to get to the bathroom, and then it was please let me be able to get downstairs. A month before I'd been leading our country out at a World Cup, and now I can hardly get through a day.
And then Hobbs came along and sort of showed her a whole new approach, really.
Hobbs rehab, that's specifically neuro rehab, but a wide MDT, not just physiotherapists. We have OTs, speech therapists, psychologists, a full team. Alex was quite low and I think was struggling to see the route of recovery.
I thought maybe it's not for me. And actually 6 months later, when I wrote a little bit, they contacted me again saying, please come and see us, we can help.
When Alex first came to us, she reported 95% of her day she was suffering from a headache, so very little reprieve from those symptoms. At the start, a lot of it was unpicking what was the cause and the trigger of her symptoms, and then educating her as to how to rest, reduce any overstimulation, and then gradually reintroduce these activities that would help her in the long-term recover.
She asked me just simply to shake my head really quickly from side to side, and I honestly looked at her like, does she know what she's talking about?
Off you go. Good.
She would try to explain to me some of the things that she was doing on the phone, and I'd be going, okay. To some people, they might even look faintly ridiculous, but to be frank, the improvement has been incredible.
Where ours is today is light years away from when she came out of hospital.
Keeping your eyes focused on the thumb.
With Emma and with Hobbs, had I not gone, I don't know when I would have ever had the confidence to move quicker than a walk. I didn't even think about being able to jog or moving my head, or I wouldn't have had the confidence because you are afraid.
Good.
She's improving every day and she's running more and more every day, and Emma's given her the programme for it, so even just 2.5 minutes every day or every week makes a big difference.
What about Alex? How has he handled this, and how have you as a couple got through it?
Try and answer this without crying. He is one of, I'm sorry. He is, I think, the most amazing human being you will ever meet. He has seen me at my worst. He has cared for me at my worst. He has said he loves me more at my worst. And they say you truly learn about a person when the chips are down. When things are wonderful, it's easy. But when things get difficult, you learn about a person, and he became overnight my carer. I wasn't able to liaise with doctors. I wasn't able to hold conversations on the telephone. He did everything for me.
My job in that role was just to make sure that the best people that Al has access to are looking after her. And this has brought us much closer together.
He's been amazing. It doesn't matter how bad it gets, it doesn't matter how bad she's feeling, he doesn't falter.
You just know when things happen, you know the person that you want by your side, and for me that's him.
Yeah, he's been a real rock for her. And he's been a real rock for my parents and for the rest of us. So.
I hope nobody ever has this, but if they do, we can support one another through it, because we've all learned something.
"16 months after Alex Danson suffered a debilitating brain injury, she returned to training at Bisham Abbey, the home of GB hockey. She hasn't seen some of her teammates since the 2018 Hockey World Cup.
This is significantly the quietest I've ever seen a gym. I'll never ever forget one of the ones before Rio. The whole team was in here and you couldn't finish until the last person finished, and You know, those are the things that make a team. Those are the moments that every one of our squad member remembers. This is kind of the next phase of my rehab, and it's trying to do more specific movements that will transition me back into hockey better.
Alex has had support from Emma from Hobbs Medical, and one of the things we've been working together on is actually reintegrating Alex back into her environment. When you get back in and see the familiarity of the place and obviously the people that you know, that as I say, is about returning to sort of normal activities. So hugely motivating, I know, for Alex to return back into the building and to be seeing her colleagues and friends.
I have to say, it's been such a long time since I've stepped on the field. It's probably the first time I've really imagined being back on it. And the enormous amount of joy I've had here over many, many years.
Amber was in full England setup, and with no prompting whatsoever, she said, we really miss Al. We miss her spirit being around the team, we miss her enthusiasm, we miss her drive, we miss her leadership, and we all just want her back and we want her better. She said none of us can fully understand what she's been through, but we can only imagine, because this England team for her and this Great Britain team for her was everything.
It's been a while. It's funny, like I watch and like today I've got a cracking headache. I think, oh, I'm so close, but you're so close, you're so far. But yeah, I'll be back in.
What do you think it's also done for your understanding of mental health issues, so the invisible illness?
I think people within my sphere understood, and I wanted people in the next sphere to understand, because although they can't directly help me, there will be somebody in their life who they can help, who they can understand, who they can support. And I've not been well enough to reply to so much. I've got an in tray this large. I will go back to every person and I will say thank you, because in my hardest moments, you cared. And that's what I hope people will get from this. They will understand how to help people, because I'm certainly not the only one that has something that is challenging.
There are very few good things to come out of this concussion, as it were, for her. I feel like she's speaking directly to other professional athletes and anyone who plays sport at a high level, just saying, this does happen, we need to take it more seriously, we need to take our time with it, and we need to be more understanding of those who are suffering.
How realistic, or indeed unrealistic, is it to expect you to pull on a shirt again for your country and play hockey?
Getting my health back to the level is kind of what I focus on now, and enjoying other things that I'm now able to enjoy and concentrate on getting myself back to the position where I can make that decision.
You wrote an email to your teammates before you went back to Bisham that was incredibly honest about the things they might see in you because of the injury. Who helped you do that, or was that your decision to say, right, this is what you might see and don't be alarmed by it?
What I did over a period of time is I just jotted down what I found hard. I just put it all together and I said, as hard as I find it, I'm asking for your help. And true to form, they were incredible. For the last 7 months, I was at a stage where I couldn't start this phase of my rehab. I'm using every bit of energy I have to stay focused and positive. Now I am metaphorically learning to walk again. For the first time in my life, as hard as I find it, I'm asking for your help. Please be happy to see me. I'll be so happy to see you. If I cry, tell me I will get well. I may just need to hear it. When my headaches are bad, you may notice me pulling my hair. It helps relieve pressure. My rehab looks like nothing we are used to. Although it's different, my goal is still the same as yours. I want to improve. It's affected all I do, how I think, what I feel, and how I behave. It's the steepest mountain I've ever climbed. Sometimes I get to a ridge, only to see I have to go down before I go back up. When I do reach the top, it will be the best view I have ever seen.